It's time for the 1430 Connection on 1430 WNAV and 99.9 FM, spotlighting news, newsmakers, and important community issues. Now, with this week's edition of the 1430 Connection, here is WNAV news anchor Donna Cole.
Welcome to the 1430 Connection. I'm Donna Cole. I'm in the studio today with Wayne Witzke and Emily French. They're both with the Oyster Recovery Partnership, and welcome to both of you.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Wayne is the program manager for Marylanders Grow Oysters, and Emily is a marine biologist. And on their website, by the way, the Oyster Recovery Partnership's website, it says, "We believe our job is about people and that everyone benefits from a healthy Chesapeake Bay. We believe that poor water quality and declining habitats can be reversed. We believe oysters are the answer." Let's start with the science behind oysters in addition to being delicious.
Oysters filter water, which I was so surprised. I'm actually from Virginia. When I moved to Maryland and started talking to kids periodically, kids in Maryland all know that oysters really benefit the bay by improving water quality by filtrations, which is so cool. So you guys probably know that too. Oysters filter water. They can filter up to 50 gallons a day. And what they're doing is they're eating phytoplankton out of the water. And then that subsequently makes the water more clear, and more clear water is great because then light can penetrate down into the water column, and that's really good for all this like benthic microalgae and seagrasses and things that photosynthesize.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
So oysters clear the water.
Okay, so the question then becomes, when you think of your HVAC filter and how disgusting it gets after however long it gets. Mm-hmm. Do oysters actually get that disgusting? Should we be eating them?
Well, a lot of people ask that question, and what's interesting is, so oysters are, when they eat the phytoplankton are full of nitrogen and phosphorus. So they're getting plump with nitrogen and phosphorus, like these two nutrients, and they're the same nutrients that are like the basic building blocks of all the food that we as people eat too. Mm-hmm. So even though people can be like a little bit grossed out by that occasionally, I mean, they're just eating the typical building blocks of their normal food when they eat oysters.
And do you both like to eat oysters?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I do like them, yeah.
Emily hesitated for a second.
I didn't eat them very much before I worked at Oyster Recovery Partnership. Yeah. Then I needed some street cred. So I started eating them.
So that is part of the requirement for your job. You have to eat oysters.
I think you have a little more credibility if you do, yeah.
Okay, just to take the scientist off her guard for a minute, what do you like on your oysters?
I really like the mignonette sauce.
For me, it was always just cocktail sauce or lemon juice.
Yeah, mm-hmm. And now it's gone into the mignonette or the Tabasco or the whatever else, and horseradish. Yeah. So Wayne.
Yes.
Marylanders grow oysters. What does this mean? I live in the woods. Mm-hmm. I cannot grow oysters. Who Correct. Are you looking for?
We're looking for primarily homeowners have a dock, waterfront property, anything like that, where they can host a cage full of spat-on shell and a minimum of 4 feet of water during low tide. And so essentially they're going to host it for 9 months, and then at the end of that we're going to go plant them on the sanctuaries and the reefs.
So it's kind of like the same thing as fostering a puppy.
Mm-hmm.
So you're raising the puppy for 9 months, and then you're giving it over to some other organization that does wonderful things with it.
Yep.
And the spat is the same thing as a puppy, but in oyster language.
Exactly. Attached to the shell. Okay. Our coworker says we're foster parents to oyster babies. So
Aww.
That's a good way to think about it.
So I was looking at, this is launched in September 2008, right? The program designed to foster stewardship of the Chesapeake Bay and create living oyster reefs and sanctuaries. So the year it started, after about 9 months, the oysters were collected, planted in an oyster sanctuary. In 2008, waterfront property owners along the Tread Avon, was that where it started? River began growing oysters in over 850 oyster cages in the first phase of the program. How many are there now?
We have over 8,300 cages out now, and 33 tributaries, which equates to about 2,500 participating homeowners. And it's growing.
Yeah, how many? So of those 32 tributaries, were there more that you're still trying to get, and people have been reluctant, or?
No, I think it's honestly just awareness. People being aware of it, kind of saying, "Hey, we want to host these babies," and kind of going through the process, contacting us. We'll contact DNR, get the process started, and then they can host their own as long as they meet the certain requirements, like environmental requirements that are needed to host oysters.
Okay, so where's that one community that you've kept saying, why don't they have this yet, and they've been reluctant? I just want, maybe people in that community don't know.
I would say, honestly, general area regionally,
Yeah.
Eastern Shore has a lot of prime real estate, prime habitat for hosting these oysters, and not a lot happens over there,
So
especially
even though
the
you
lower.
started on the Tread end, we're talking about Chester and
Chester has it, specifically lower shore, lower
Okay.
Eastern Shore. So once you get down past really the Chop Tank, there's nothing going on down there in like the Nanacoke, Wicomico, other rivers like that.
And it's perfect area to do this. So for those that are listening to this and live on those rivers on the lower Eastern Shore,
Yep.
pay attention. It's really important to the health of our bay, not just today, but also
In the future.
I think probably half the calls that come into our office are about the Marylanders Grow Oysters program. So there really is like a fantastic amount of interest in Maryland, and that's probably because the people who work on the program are so good at spreading the word.
Yep.
Are other states learning from us?
I mean, there's always seems to be a growing interest coming in from the outside of what are you guys doing here? And it's not going to be the same exact program. They're going to tailor it to their needs, or depending on whatever it is that they're going to use, whether or not it's oysters even. But there are always kind of questions coming across our desk saying, hey, what are you guys doing? How are you guys doing it? And we want to do something similar.
We're going to take a short break. This is Donna Cole, the 1430 Connection. We will be right back. Welcome back to the 1430 Connection. This is Donna Cole. I'm in the studio with Wayne Witzke and Emily French. They're with the Oyster Recovery Partnership. Wayne is the program manager for Marylanders Grow Oysters, and Emily is the marine biologist. And I told Emily that her job is kind of like, yeah, that's what I always want. I wanted to be Jacques Cousteau. And so I'm sitting in here with the female version of Jacques Cousteau, and I think it's the coolest thing ever.
Oh, thank you.
So just out of curiosity, what did make you go into this field, Emily?
I don't have like a really well orchestrated answer. I guess I've just always been interested in biology. All through high school, biology were always my favorite classes. And then in college, I went the biology route, and I wasn't sure. I kind of wanted to study Superfund sites, so like hazardous waste sites. And then I took like a couple marine science classes because it's kind of like the last couple years of college that you start exploring exactly what you want your concentration to be within like a broad field like biology. And I just fell in love with the marine science classes, and then I went to grad school for marine science too.
That's super. All right, so Wayne,
Yes.
the Marylanders Grow Oysters program, when you look it up on the web and see the genesis of the program, it started with the state, the DNR, and so somehow it landed with Oyster Recovery Partnership. Explain that so people understand.
So DNR started the program, as you said, in 2008, and it was just the one tributary. And we've always kind of been in partnership with them, helping them kind of manage the logistics with delivering the cages, delivering the shell bags. And then this year, actually, we're taking a greater responsibility and actually helping to really promote and acquire donations to help with the funding of the program, and also to build the cages, which previously DNR had handled all of that. So they still do the regulatory side, and they still make like decisions on where's the program going to go and stuff like that. But we are much more a facilitator, along with University of Maryland's Center for Environmental Science.
And that's on the Eastern Shore.
Yeah, that's at Horn Point. And there's also one in Piney Point. They produce the spat-on shell, and we get it from them and then deliver it to the coordinators. So I'd like to look at our role as a facilitator, the ones who enable the program.
So backing up for a minute, you said building the cages and getting the funds for the cages. If people can't grow oysters, understand the power of oysters with our Chesapeake Bay, and wanted to donate, is that something you'd like?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so where can people find out more information?
You can go to oysterrecovery.org, and you go to our website, and there's a contact us button. You can contact us there, or you can just call us. Our phone number is 410-990-4970.
Commercial side of oysters has changed tremendously over the years. First of all, we don't see the skipjacks anymore, and companies are growing oysters. I've been to one on the Eastern Shore, and it's amazing. So no longer do we have to worry about the R months. Yes,
correct. Refrigeration, aquaculture. That's now a myth.
And do you all work with the aquaculture companies? Do you help enable that, or who helps them set this up?
We do help them. We don't necessarily, not with Marylanders Grow Oysters program, but we do through Oyster Recovery Partnership we supply some of the seed, which is the spat-on shell, the larvae, and we'll also help them obtain leases and that kind of thing, and provide training as well, and that's also on the website.
Emily, question for you.
Sure.
oysters taste like the water they come from. Is this true?
Yes, yeah, they definitely have a saltiness level that corresponds to the saltiness of the water that they came out of.
So I would think, and this is just a person that's not a scientist that just eats a lot of oysters, that Chesapeake Bay is brackish. That makes our oysters the best in the world, period.
Yes, absolutely. Agreed.
I mean, because it's not as salty. You tell me.
I do think that when an oyster is saltier, you can't taste the flavor of its meat as much. So I do appreciate the Chesapeake Bay oysters and their flavor, because you can taste them a little bit better than even oysters grown on the bay side of the eastern shore. Their saltiness, I think that I prefer like the oysters that live in the bay compared to the ocean
Wayne,
side.
do you taste a difference with them?
Yeah,
Huge?
absolutely.
What's your favorite oyster?
I prefer the saltier oysters. So
Okay.
I'll
So Chincoteague.
yeah, Chincoteague, coastal bays, anything like that. So, yep.
All right, very good.
gotcha.
See, we all have
Oyster war.
to each oyster
gonna
wars,
fight.
to each their
Sorry,
own.
I'm the oyster police.
And ironically, he is wearing a shirt that says Oyster Police, which I'm kind of jealous of. I want one of those shirts. What was the most exciting or surprising discovery with oysters to you that...
So since I'm a biologist and I'm on kind of the biology end of things, something that I'm super interested in that relates to oyster functionality is the way that they facilitate this chemical process called denitrification. So they actually produce pseudofeces and feces, which Wayne was joking about when we were on the break.
So this is poop and little poop?
Yeah, it's poop, right? It's poop, but it has carbon in it, and this carbon is something that microbes in the sediment need to do this transformation process called denitrification that actually removes nutrients, nitrogen, from the water column. And so since I've been working at Oyster Recovery Partnership, I've been learning more about that process, and that is another kind of tangential benefit that oysters provide besides clearing the water that scientists are learning more about right now. So
All right, let's talk about, actually, since we're talking about the science of oysters, not moving away from poop, how the spat is created, the mating process with oysters. Tell me about that.
Okay, this is like actually really interesting. So Oyster Recovery Partnership, we are kind of the implementers. We do the planting, which just means deploying the oysters, and we do like the logistics and coordination. But University of Maryland does all the larval production. So before oysters are spat, they're free-swimming larvae, and they can choose to settle down on different substrates underwater. And University of Maryland Center for Environmental Science on the Eastern Shore, the Horn Point campus, they actually have this whole big oyster hatchery, and the way that it starts is there are these broodstock. The way that the spawning process starts is there are these broodstock. There are these oysters that Horn Point staff have obtained from different areas in the northern part of the bay, and they actually put them all on this spawning table, and you have to watch them. You have to be really diligent. You turn up the heat, and that starts stimulating them to spawn. So females will act, and then males, you can tell when they're producing sperm, and that is where it starts. You collect the sperm and the eggs, and the hatchery staff mix them together.
That really sounds cool.
They do tours, and they're really cool to see.
All right, now I'm convinced I have to see that. Have you seen this, Wayne?
Oh, yeah.
All right. We're going to take another short break. When we come back, we're going to talk more about oysters and how we can all help the bay. This is Donna Cole on the 1430 Connection. We will be right back. Welcome back to the 1430 Connection. I'm Donna Cole, and I am talking oysters today with two people from the Oyster Recovery Partnership, which is located right here in Annapolis. Wayne Witzke, he's the program manager for Marylanders Grow Oysters, and Emily French is the marine biologist, explaining the science behind oysters and oyster poop and oyster reproduction, and I'm just very into it. Now I have to go to the Horn Point Laboratory and see the hatchery.
I would love to have you.
Wayne,
Yes.
tell me about what what else the Oyster Recovery Partnership does. Shell recycling, for one. It's huge. We, back in the day, used to throw out shells. Occasionally you'd see shells lining people's driveways, but there's a far greater use for shells.
Yeah, absolutely. So Shell Recycling Alliance is essentially a collection of restaurants, individuals, shuckers, anyone who basically has oyster shells that don't want to just throw them away, but want to donate them to us, donate them to the state, so we can actually use them in restoration. And we have actually over 300 members who are a part of that. So we have regular pickups going on throughout the week, and we're collecting close to, I would say, 400 bushels a week of oyster shells.
Holy moly. Do you have enough people that do these pickups? Do you use volunteers, or is it staff?
It's staff. Right now, it's about 2 full-time and 1 part-time person doing that. So we cover a lot of ground.
Do you have enough people that are recycling them, or would you to have more restaurants, more people doing it?
We'll always take more. More shell is not a bad thing, because there's actually still a little bit of a shortage of shell. So using this helps us just to maintain our supply and even grow our supply, because we're using it in the large-scale restoration efforts that are going on in the sanctuaries.
And so you take those shells and then put the spat goes on these go into the reefs too.
Exactly.
Yes.
We use over 100,000 bushels of recycled shell every year for our restoration effort. So SRA is absolutely essential to the program.
Okay. Kids are doing this too, learning about this. Don't you take kids out with some of this stuff that...
We do tour groups often. Yes, yeah. So our field office is actually Horn Point. We have some office space there, and that's where the storage facility where
all these shells
a lot of the Shell Recycling Alliance shells go. So we take kids of pretty much all ages. Usually they tour the hatchery first, and then they come to our massive shell pile, and then we take them down to the pier, which is also Horn Point property, and we show them how the recycled shells have these larvae settled onto them.
Okay.
So, and kids usually really like it. They really enjoy it, and they're surprised that this exists.
All right, to step back, as we were discussing in the last segment, you require money to keep going.
Yep.
One of the ways this happens is by some of the events that you do. Your largest event of the year is every September, yes? It's called Mermaid's Kiss Oyster Fest. It's always held up in Baltimore. I think it's always been held up in Baltimore. It changes around venues. This year it's at the Baltimore Museum of Industry. It's Thursday, September 21st from 6 to 10 p.m. You can go online. Again, the website is what, Wayne?
oysterrecovery.org.
And find out more information about this. But I should tell you, and I haven't been, and I regret not going because one, I'm an oyster lover, and there are a lot of oysters to be had.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a cool, fun event. It's like, go ahead, tell us about what to expect.
Okay. So not only are there tons of different oysters, but there's also a bunch of local restaurants that are going to be present, and they're going to be preparing kind of little, almost like sample size dishes of just unique food, unique cuisine, and it's pretty much all seafood based, and you just go around and you can play like some of the table games, and you can eat as much food as you want, you can drink as many drinks as you want, and it's really just a good time.
And Emily, you've been to this before?
Yes, I've been for the past 2 years. It's so much fun. There's also a photo booth.
Oh yeah.
You have to have and people can dress up as oysters.
Yeah, if you wanted to. Sure.
Mermaids.
Exactly, mermaids. I'm reading. This year's event will feature a bay-themed silent auction, one-of-a-kind oyster sculpture by the Chesapeake Mermaid. There's prizes, giveaways, and more. Restaurants and oyster farms. Early bird tickets are on sale now. Again, visit the website for that. And that's a big deal with these funds that are needed, because this enables you all to continue doing what you do. The cages, do you put them together yourselves? Or do they come go ahead.
They come, actually, we order them, and they come in rolls of 100 feet by 18 inches wide. And so we cut them, and we've actually been able to use volunteer efforts. So we'll use Boy Scouts, like a couple different Boy Scout troops to do that. We'll use companies who want to have team building exercises kind of thing. And so far, I think this year we've been able to make about 350 cages so far. So
wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, we still have a lot to go, but
so volunteers are always needed.
Absolutely.
Funds are always needed. You do tours on the Eastern Shore facility. I can't thank you both enough for being here today.
Thank you.
Yeah,
it was our pleasure.
Yeah.
This is Donna Cole. This is the 1430 Connection. We will see you next week.